Welcome to another red light edition. This is Left Side of the Brain. And man, I don't know how I feel right now. I mean, I can't describe my feeling right now. Am I disappointed? Am I depressed? Am I ready to give up? Do I want to keep going? Is there a purpose to keep going? If I stop, what difference would it make? I have all of these, thoughts in and out of my mind right now. And it's coming from the fact that everything is not hyped up everything is not how it was hyped up to be. And that's what I want to speak about in this red light edition. You know, since the time I was a child, that's where the illusion started. We're going to be real intimate tonight. That's the word, intimate. We're going deep into your inner feelings. Ever since I was a child, that's where the illusion started. Things are not like they are hyped up to be. You know, y'all with me, right? Settle down. Hopefully you watching this in your room with the lights out. That would be the best time to view a red light edition. All right, let's start over. You know, ever since I was a kid, that's where the illusion began. It's like when you were a kid, you don't know anything, right? I mean, you just playing, you having fun, you just playing with your toys, pushing your little fire truck, around, playing with your little race car track. Like, I remember I used to have a little basketball goal, like the Nerf goals. And I had the little small little bouncing basketball, and I'm gonna be this when I grow up, and I'm gonna be this. I want to be a fireman, and every day you switching what you said you wanted to be. I want to be in the army, and life is just so easy. Like, we was just fed a bunch of bullshit. I mean, I remember I used to play house with my cousin. You know how you play house and you play mother and daddy, and you have the little play cook set. And it's like, that's where the illusion began. Like, I want to be a fireman, or you playing house, mommy and daddy, and everything just so simple. Like, your wife, when you're playing house, she was just so easy, like you understood, but you didn't understand. You was basically just mimicking what you saw adults do, but they never told you the truth. Like, I think everybody can relate to that. Like, they never told us the truth. They showed us, we watched TV. They never told us that this thing is nothing like it was hyped up to be. Like, I mean, and we grew up, we started K-5, everything is still an illusion. All right, little Johnny, I'll see you later, to drop you off to school. Okay, mommy, bye. Give mommy a hug and kiss. Okay. Mwah. You walk into the classroom. As soon as you go into the classroom, though, that's when you have that first feeling of like separation. Remember that feeling? Like, and I'm going to enjoy reading the comment section after this, because I can just imagine all the different stories I'm going to read. But remember that feeling you had, like, when you walked into the classroom for the first time, and You cried. Like, the way I can describe it, it was like having a rebirth. Like, you cried when you were first born, right? And then you was under the security of your mother, right? And then she released you again. So then you go into the classroom by yourself and you started crying for a second time. Like you was reborn again into another world, the real world, the process. But it still wasn't, it still wasn't all like laid out the reality of everything yet. So you go into your classroom and bye, Johnny, and you give your mom a kiss and you crying, but then you get around your friends and then you forget about your mom. Your tears dried up. I know y'all remember this. Your tears dried up. You started having fun and everything was cool until it's time to go home. And then you see your mom or your dad and you so happy that they came to pick you up and you run to them and you give them this big hug and you tell your friends bye. And you thought life would just be like that, like for the rest of your life. And you grew up and you grew up beyond K-5 and you went to the first grade and the second grade. So you started, your mind began, your mind started to go through this process where it was becoming trained to believe that, oh, this is how everything is. I mean, we get dropped off at this place and they just teach us things, but they wasn't really teaching us. They was just, you know, taking us through the process. And this is what's kind of evil about it because the teachers, they never talk to us like I'm talking to you right now about the process that I went through and that you went through. So it's like in a way, it's like all of them was in on it. You get what I'm saying? It's like all of them was in on this plot to keep us blinded and to fool us. I look at it like setting somebody up to go into the gas chamber. Now, I'm a history buff, right? So I read that in the Nazi concentration camps, they would exterminate the Jews, right? Hitler, very evil man. And he would lead them to the showers. So they thought that they was just going to take a regular shower. So, they didn't think nothing of it. But as soon as they got in the showers, that's when the panic began because they started releasing gas and they would gas like hundreds and thousands of these people, these Jews. So that's a metaphor for the way I view it. Like they prepped us up, they took us to school, and it's like our parents didn't even tell us. It's like they went along with it. And what I was saying was like our minds started going through this process of this how it is. Okay, they drop us off, everything's going to be okay. At 2:45, the parents going to pick us up, and then we're going to do it till Friday, and then the weekend, and they're going to take us to Chuck E. Cheese, and that's how it went for years. You see, so by the time we get in middle school, right, we start like forming like our identities, right? We start, we start to see female nature. We start feeling ourselves, our testosterone. Us boys, our voice starts deepening. We know about the birds and the bees by now. And around this time, females, they started to change. It's no longer easy breezy playing with the girls. So now it's like having a girlfriend around the sixth grade. It's like it's easier. You can really like, but it's not real. You see, at the same time, like if you and the girl you have a crush on, if you go to the movie theater, your parent, they take you and your girlfriend to the movie theater, and they give you the money. They give you the money to buy her the movie ticket, and it's so cute. And everybody, oh, look how cute they are, puppy love. So around this time, we developing, right? But they still not telling us. They still not telling us. And it's like we were being cheated out of reality, but it was like everybody was in on it, you know? So, but one thing about it, getting back on that issue, it's like the men were being cheated the most when you think about it. Because, you know, females, well, I would say the men were cheated. Now, I want to hear the female story. They'll have to tell their story, but I'm speaking my story. Um, you can reply in the comment section, like give your story, your take on it. But it's like we were being cheated. Like, let me give you an example. Like taking us to the movie theater. They was teaching us, the little boys, to do all of the paying for the movie ticket. And so the female, she was still more so in the reality world of how it is in the adult world. Because us men, we still required to pay the money up front for the movie, the dinner. So it's like the men were being prepped up the most, you see. That's how I see it. I mean, everybody got their own, way of viewing it. I'm just speaking like from my point of view, right? So around this time, like we starting to see it a little bit, but still they hiding it from us. So we get out of middle school and we go into high school. Now everybody got a different high school story. Like some people, around this time, some people in broken homes, some people dropped out of high school. So this story varies. Some people had a harder time coming up than others. But I know for me, when I got into high school, that's when I really started to see. I didn't know as much as I know now, but I knew I was different in high school. In high school, you really start to see um, the separation between you and your friends. You really start to see who are the human prison bars and who are the us versus them. That's when you really start to see the secret wars. But at that time, we didn't know anything about left side of the brain channel and organic portals and all of the terminology, human prison bars, and we didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of that, but we could feel it. We were like what they would call back then the oddballs in the classroom. So we was like some of us were geeks, computer geeks. Some of us were high school jocks. It all depends. Some of you females were like the star cheerleaders, but you could see the social construct of acceptance, those who were accepted and those who were the outcast. You could see it, but back then you didn't have the maturity to, because you were still going through it. So it's like me telling the story about it now, but around high school, I would say 10th, 11th, 12th grade, that's when you start to come into your manhood. At least for me, like during these years, you're thinking about what life is going to be like after high school, after you graduate, right? And again, around this time, the females are still being fed reality. Okay, because think about the prom. You the one who got to get the limousine. You the one that picks her up. See, they prepping you for your role to be the servant. But the female, she's on the receiving end. So, like another thing I say, like females, because they have like the programming in them to have babies, I think it's a silent secret that females will never tell you. Like they know all of these things at an earlier age because they mature faster. And one of the subscribers, one of the fellow Jaguars, they left a comment. They was like, females start maturing at age 16. But he said they mature faster in their teens than the males. So that's why when the girls are 16, they dating freshmen in college. And when they in the ninth grade, they dating the seniors on a varsity basketball team. You see, they already advanced. But really, like I say, like women control the atmosphere, and I'm just speaking from a male's point of view, okay? But the females, we were being taught to be subservient at an early age, you see? And it's not until we graduate from high school, right? Then they push us into college. Now, some of us went to college, some of us didn't. I myself, I went to college. And then when a lot of times people go to college, and sometimes suicide rates are very high for college students because they hit with this reality that just smacks them in the face so fast. So they on this college campus, they they in the in between zone of adulthood and still a teenager. But society is telling them that you're in college now, so you are an adult. So like in a split second, they become an adult in a split second. So here you are as a college student and you walking around, and I remember when I was in college, I felt real awkward walking across the campus. I felt like I knew I was different. At that moment, I knew then for real, like I'm different. Rewind, I remember in the 12th grade, it's like the world around me stopped. I was looking at the other students in the hallway, right? And I knew that I was different. I was like, I just looked at it's like everything paused, like all the noise stopped. And the students was just moving, and I could just see them laughing. Ah, ha, 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 ha. It was like I was in I don't know, some type of time warp where all the attention was just on them. And I was like in the middle of it. Like that movie Carrie, they're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. Remember she was on the prom stage and they had dropped that bucket of blood on her, that paint, that red paint, and she was in her prom dress. I had one of them type of experiences. And it was like I was in the hallway and it was like they all gonna laugh at you. And I was just looking and I could just tell that I was in the center of this plot. And they weren't about to say anything. I started to realize that. All right, fast forward back to the college years, right? So here I am on this college campus. I'm walking around and I'm feeling so awkward and out of place, right? So, every day I'm saying to myself, like, what I'm gonna do with this degree? Like, that's when I'm starting to think about, like, is this what life is all about? You just go to a 4-year university, you pick up a trade or career, and then that's just what you do? That's it? Because I was an art student, right? So, you know, us artists, we think abstract anyway. So it's hard for us to kind of pinpoint a particular, one track mind and just go into it. We don't think like that. Like, especially me. Like, you can tell by my channel, right? So here I am in this classroom, the lecture auditorium and everything, and looking at the other people around me, knowing inside of myself that I'm the only one thinking like this. But anyway, you graduate from college, blah, blah, and here is the real world, like they say. So you go into the real world and you find out that it's a repeat of elementary, middle school, and high school. You see, the new hallways in the high school is the streets, right? Oh, I skipped the part about driver's ed. That was fun though. I enjoyed driver's ed. That's one thing in my coming up that I really enjoy. But when you graduate, okay, you driving now. Okay, you on your own. You sometimes when you first graduate from college, you still staying with your parents for until you get your stuff right. They'll give you that leniency. They'll give you that trial period. Okay, you got 2 months though. You can hear them saying it in the back of your mind. Yeah, these your parents, but they want you out the house. You see, but they the ones who had you right. But they ain't giving you no extra money. They ain't trying to. So you realize that after college, it's the same thing all over again. It's like the new college enrollment is finding a job. So now the new thing is enrolling in a job. The streets, you driving now, you on a adult. That's like, remember they had the hall monitor. So now you driving on the streets. The hall monitor is the police. Got to drive a certain speed limit or you get a ticket. Okay. The new principal is your manager on your job. I always used to say to myself, I can't wait to graduate from school because I used to hate getting up early in the morning, to catch the bus and you got to be out there like 5:30 and it's cold. Man, it used to be cold when we was coming up. And you have your jacket on but it was fun. I remember standing at the bus stop with your friends and we be laughing and stuff and thinking back like how in the world would we making that much noise early in the morning? But I was the type of person though, I wasn't always up for a lot of jokes early in the morning. I used to hate getting up early in the morning like that. But I used to say to myself, when I graduate from school, I get to wake up anytime I want to and do whatever I want to do. But little did I know it wasn't all like it was hyped up to be. So long story short, you find out that you still got to get up early to go to work. But here's the thing. They didn't tell you about paying bills. They didn't tell you about the entrapments of getting married. Remember we was talking about playing house when it was so easy, playing mommy and daddy, playing with little dolls and setting them up in chairs like they was at the kitchen table eating. They didn't tell you that in real life, you got to pay money. You got to work. You got to deal with this nagging woman. You got to think about what if she divorces you and take away half of everything that you own. We weren't thinking about that stuff when we was playing house. That didn't cross our mind. Nobody told us that. You see what I'm saying? They didn't tell us about the haves and the have-nots, middle class. They didn't tell us about middle class, outcasts, and the Donald Trump class. They didn't tell us about that. They didn't tell us about it's all about who you know when you out here trying to get a job. It's all about sororities and fraternities. They didn't tell us all of that. It's all about being a part of the in crowd. It's all about being a social butterfly. It's all about selling out who you are to get somewhere in life. They didn't tell us about human prison bars. They didn't tell us about any of that. They didn't tell you that you just wake up and you work, you go home, the sunset, the sunrise, you get up and you work and you do the same thing. They didn't tell you that. They just told you the storybook version of life. Like coming up in these schools, it's a process of brainwashing. You know what I mean? It's like in all the storybooks, what do they tell you? And such lived happily ever after. The lies they tell about relationships. When you can look at the statistics and it show that 90% of all marriages end in divorce. But Coming up, what do those storybooks tell us? And they lived happily ever after. Just a bunch of lies, man. Like everything is not all like it was hyped up to be, man. And they cheated us. They really cheated us, man. And the popular people in your class, the popular kids, the popular girls, and the only reason why they was popular back then because of everything we speak about now. They were human prison bars, even back then. And the reason why we was awkward and stuff, for the very reason you on this video watching this right now. Think about all them kids who was popular in your class. They don't even know about this channel. They ain't never looked at no red light edition or nothing like that. But here we are in 2020. We those same awkward kids gathered around right now listening to the red light edition. And me doing the red light edition. I'm that same awkward kid who was listening to music that the other kids wasn't listening to. Like, I was listening to like the alternative hip hop, the music that everybody else wasn't listening to, while all the other kids was like mostly listening to like mainstream music. And like name some of the bands like underground music and stuff you was listening to, whether rock, alternative, whatever, heavy metal or whatever. But that's what we was listening to. We was doing things that was considered back then lame. But when you think about it, we was ahead of our time. That's what it was. A lot of that awkwardness that we was feeling, it's because we were just advanced. And they just now catching up with us. I mean, not catching up with us, but a lot of this stuff, like even in the metaphysics world, a lot of this stuff that they just started talking about, we was feeling that stuff back in high school. We just didn't have a name for it. But a lot of that stuff they naming now and giving like titles to, we was already on that stuff. We just didn't have the terminology for it. There was no YouTube back then. There was nobody like no left side of the brain back then telling us like the reasons for all of this stuff and the way we was feeling and everything. But we was already doing that stuff back then. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's nothing new under the sun. It's just that now I realize, like, damn, like my parents didn't tell me this. I did have one older cousin. He used to like everybody had that older cousin who would show you like the truth about girls and things like that, put you on to certain music and everything. Like I did have a cousin, but they didn't show us like this, like I'm doing now. They didn't really go deep into it like we do on this channel. So, man, they owe us an apology, man. They really fucked over us, man. Like you can't really blame people. Like when people be going postal and doing things like you hear on the news, people going crazy and stuff. Everybody don't got the understanding to why they feel the way they do. Some people just go completely AWOL, man. Like all these stories and stuff you hear, because they didn't fuck people up, man. They really didn't fuck us up, man. I done talked a lot. But yeah, man, that was what I was feeling. I was just thinking about that. Like, they really fucked us up, man. And they don't got no regrets about it because they benefit off of that. And I feel like the whole while when they was fucking us up, basically they was molesting us. All of us have been molested by this system. They fucked us up, man. And all the while they knew what they was doing. When they was writing the school books, when our parents was dropping us off to daycare and school, they knew what they was doing. They knew what they was doing. They fucked us up, man. But I'm going to end it right there, man. Shit ain't all hyped up. Shit ain't always This world is not what they hyped it up to be. I'm gonna end it right there. This left side of the brain. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I'm out, y'all.